Thank you so much. So just to introduce myself, my name is Scott Tinney, and I'm a staff lawyer with Animal Justice, a national animal law advocacy group focused on preventing cruelty to animals through, among other things, the enforcement of existing municipal, provincial, and federal laws. Our organization is located in Toronto, Ontario, and many of our thousands of supporters are closely monitoring St. Catharines' decision in this matter. So as such, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Council for giving me the time to speak on such an important issue and for taking the time to consider our position on the proposed exemption for Reptilia to the City of St. Catherine by Law 95212. So it is Animal Justice's position that the city should not amend its bylaw in a way that would allow Reptilia to keep prohibited animals, nor should it grant an exemption to Reptilia to use exotic animals for off-site activities such as mobile live zoo programs. There are a variety of reasons why we believe that this exception would not be beneficial for the city, many of which I'm sure will be outlined by the several speakers following me, including for public health and safety reasons and for animal welfare concerns. But I'm going to focus on a few more technical points, which I'll go through in turn. So first, amending the current bylaw for Reptilia risks opening a door that cannot be closed in St. Catharines. More specifically, if the city is to allow Reptilia to possess and display a variety of exotic species and to keep these animals for off-site programs, it would be extremely difficult to come back and restrict this facility in the future if there are any problems, or if Reptilia seeks to expand beyond its current scope. For example, if the proposed amendment is granted and Reptilia chooses to expand their facility to incorporate new, dangerous animals into their display or their off-site programs, including, who knows, big cats, monkeys, or any number of other exotic animals, the city may be left without any option but to allow for the growth of the facility based on its previous decision to grant the amendment. The reality is that Reptilia is a for-profit business and they will continue to operate in a manner that prioritizes making money over the welfare of the animals that they keep. This poses a significant problem for the city if an amendment is granted. This stands in stark contrast, as previous speakers mentioned, to well-established AZA-accredited facilities like the Toronto Zoo, for example, who have clear plans for their facility and a direction to move towards. Established facilities like the Toronto Zoo, while they still have their own problems, accept responsibility for animal care and animal enrichment, and have a number of individuals and groups who they routinely consult with in crafting future plans. These controls are not in place to the same extent at a facility like Reptilia. As such, introducing a broad amendment in favor of this facility in the short term could lead to significant repercussions in the long term. The second point that I'd like to raise is the fact that the proposed Reptilia amendments in the city stand against the current federal push for heightened exotic animal regulations across Canada in the form of Bill S-241 or the Jane Goodall Act. The Jane Goodall Act, which is currently being debated at Senate, would amend the criminal code as well as other federal laws to regulate the keeping and showcasing of exotic animals across the country. Relevantly to our discussion here today, the changes in the Jane Goodall Act would set groundbreaking new standards across Canada by phasing out the importing, keeping, and breeding of hundreds of species of wild animals in Canada, including numerous reptiles like crocodiles, certain large lizards, and several snakes. The Jane Goodall Act is designed to address the current lack of regulation at roadside zoo operations like Reptilia in the interest of protecting the health and welfare of countless animals as well as protecting public health and safety. The Jane Goodall Act has received ample support from zoos, including the Toronto Zoo, Calgary Zoo, the Granby Zoo, the Montreal Biodome, and the Assiniboine Park Zoo, as well as leading Canadian animal advocacy organizations, and appears to be on track to become law in Canada. By granting Reptilia an exemption, the City of St. Catherine could be moving in a direction opposite that of the Canadian government at this time. With that said, the city should not take a wait-and-see approach with this federal initiative. The reality is that circumstances can change quickly in federal politics, and we might not have this national protection on the books to protect animals, or it may take years to pass. St. Catharines should be actively ensuring that it is not allowing potentially dangerous businesses to operate in the interim. One final item I just quickly want to address before I wrap up, and this is probably going to be discussed significantly throughout our delegations today, so I won't go into too much detail. It's that by granting this exemption, we're also bringing with it a host of animal welfare issues and public health and safety issues. I strongly encourage council members to review the Toronto Economic Development Committee's report recommending against granting Reptilia an exemption in the City of Toronto, which I believe is included or at the very least repeatedly referenced in the agenda for today, before making a decision on this matter.